Optic blast!
Spiral Buster!
Ice beam! X-Men.
Hey everybody, welcome back. Today we're taking a look at a game based on one of my all-time favorite comic series and my favorite Saturday morning cartoon. It's X-Men, Children of the Atom for the Sega Saturn. Not to be confused with the 6-part Children of the Atom comic miniseries from 1999. This Capcom 2D fighter was first released in arcades at the tail end of 1994 and on the Sega Saturn in 1995. It was also released on the PlayStation in 1998, but oddly enough, not in Japan. The plot of the game is loosely based on the Fatal Attraction story arc from the X-Men comics, and it gives you 10 initially playable characters with a few more to unlock. It also has the honor of being the first ever Marvel fighting game to be produced by Capcom, which is a pairing that still lives on today. Gameplay-wise, Children of the Atom is pretty much what you'd expect if you've played any mid or late 90s Capcom fighters, especially the other Marvel titles, though it's obviously a bit stripped down when compared to later fighters in the series, this being the first attempt and all. In fact, I'd say it has more in common with the first Darkstalkers game than it does with X-Men vs. Street Fighter, for example, though it does introduce a few gameplay features that were new at the time. For example, air combos, safety rolls, and the ability to string together longer combos than was previously possible, combined with gameplay that is considerably faster and more hectic than games like Street Fighter II, really lays the groundwork for later games in the series. All 10 playable characters are unique from one another, and each is fun to play as, even if their movesets are not quite as robust as they would be later on. Wolverine, for example, isn't nearly the unstoppable killing machine he would be in future games. Still, with this game you get very smooth and fun gameplay, arcade perfect in fact, and featuring multiple options for speed and ease of play. You get a respectable roster of characters and a handful of gameplay modes, including team battle and survival. So all things considered, it's a very good game, even if it doesn't feature all of the bells and whistles. It's Marvel, it's Capcom, and it's a fighting game, which is always a reliable combination if you want to have an enjoyable gaming experience.
Round one. Fight! Optic blast! Optic blast! Optic blast! He's no light! Optic blast! He's no light! Optic blast! Optic blast! He's no You win!
The graphics and sound in Children of the Atom are also really good, and again, they'll be familiar if you've played any of Capcom's other fighters from that time period, meaning that it is a very colorful and flashy game that gives Marvel's characters a little bit of an anime makeover, making it look similar to Darkstalkers or Street Fighter Alpha, which I like a lot. The character designs, which were great already, look especially cool here, and they animate very smoothly. The stages are also a thing of beauty. They're very detailed, and each one changes from one round to the next, or from multiple impacts to the ground, taking you from one area to another. They all look amazing, but my personal favorite is definitely Mojo World, which has some especially trippy background details. The soundtrack is also outstanding. It's composed by Alpha Lyla, like most other mid-90s Capcom fighters, and they did a great job as usual. You get a great mix of high-energy tracks and more subdued, groovy-sounding tracks that are made to match the stages and characters that they're paired with. For example, in Cyclops' Danger Room stage, we get a song that's high energy and intense, while Iceman's Ice on the Beach stage, we get something that's more playful and lighthearted. Overall, though, the soundtrack is great, and I, of course, love the voiceovers from the actors and actresses that voice the X-Men animated series, which is an especially nice touch. On the whole, there isn't much to complain about here. Great graphics, great sound design, and very fun gameplay make this an especially awesome start to a series that just kept on getting better.
Up the glass. 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 You win.
So this is obviously a game that I have a lot of love for and highly recommend to fighting game fans, especially if you've enjoyed some of Capcom's later Marvel fighters. This one is definitely worth going back to. If you'd like to get a copy for yourself, the Saturn versions are the cheapest, which is great because 2D fighters are almost always better on the Saturn. A copy of either the Japanese or English version shouldn't run you more than 20 or 30 bucks, which I don't think is asking too much for what's such a great gaming experience for X-Men/Capcom fans such as myself. So if you're in the mood for a good old-fashioned mutant mashup, then X-Men Children of the Atom might be exactly what you're looking for. Check it out.
Tornado claw. Tornado claw. Tornado claw. Magnetic pivot. Mirage. Tornado claw. Tornado claw. You lose.